From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
Bozeman Schools have a new plan for students returning to classes. How it will work and when everything starts is just ahead.
Small businesses across the entire state of Montana can soon apply for another round of PPP loans. I'm Gabby Crevitt, and I'll have that full story coming up.
Well, it is 6:30 on this Tuesday. Chet Lehman, Holly Brantley, Matt Elwell with you here. And of course, it's the 12th day of January. That's why we're talking about rain.
Yeah, it's why.
Stands to reason, right?
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
Right now, West Yellowstone, if they're seeing anything falling from the skies, it's not rain. Look at that, 6 below this morning in West. Wow, 15 degrees in Butte. Yes, there are some chilly spots, but overall we are seeing 15, almost 20-degree warmer temperatures this morning in some cases in western Montana. Chance of seeing a few spotty showers today, but it's tomorrow that brings the better chance of seeing some showers in the area. Highs today right into the low 40s. We are going to see more clouds, and we're also going to see more wind. We'll, of course, break down what you can expect for upcoming days coming up in just a couple of minutes.
All right, thank you, Matt. Just ahead of 6:31 now. Bozeman Schools have a new reopening plan.
The school board approved the proposal last night. High school students are slated to return to more in-person learning at the start of the semester unless they choose the remote learning route. Students can return to school 4 days a week starting the beginning of the next semester. That's unless newly developed metrics signal to trustees, administrators that it's not appropriate in 2 weeks. Students will begin the 4+1 model in weeks to come.
Another headlines this morning, Paycheck Protection Program is aimed at helping small businesses keep employees on payroll throughout the COVID-19 pandemic with forgivable loans.
MTN's Gabby Crevitt tells us the program is open again for small businesses across the country.
A new round of PPP funds will soon be available for small businesses across the state of Montana. Brent Donnelly with the U.S. Small Business Administration District Office in Montana says businesses who didn't apply or receive PPP funds the first go-around can apply for the first draw as early as this week. Second draw loans can be made if businesses meet a specific criteria.
300 or fewer employees as far as the size of the business, and the business is going to have to document a 25% reduction in revenue over comparable quarters between 2019 and 2020. So for that second draw loans, businesses are going to have to document that revenue deduction in order to be eligible to apply.
Donnelly says small businesses in the restaurant and food service industry can also find some additional financial assistance. One
aspect of this I think is going to hit probably every Montana community is under the calculation for maximum loan amount, it's 2.5 times monthly payroll. With the exception of food service and accommodation industry, they're allowed to apply for up to 3.5 times their average monthly payroll.
Community banks and lenders are gearing up for the new round of PPP funds, this time totaling $284 billion in loan funding.
You know, you spent the first round, or maybe you didn't apply for the first round. You can still get in. You can still apply. You know, there's money there available, and this is what it's designed for, is to help business owners here in Montana.
There's really so much more to unpack with this new round of additional loan funds, including increased eligibility with different businesses and organizations. Nonprofits can now apply for a PPP loan. Additionally, we'll see some more flexibility for seasonal workers, and small businesses can use this PPP money to spend on some different expenses that were not originally allowed for the first round. Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Thank you, Gabby. 6:33 now. There are some new numbers on the dramatic downturn in flying passengers at Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport due to the pandemic. This last year, traffic down 43.5% because of COVID-19. Airport Director Brian Springer says the impact on traffic was significant, but says he's pleased to see Bozeman did better than almost 61% decline at airports across the country. The airport hosted 889,775 passengers last year. Now on our website, you can see the added airline, added daily flights that happened last year despite the pandemic, plus some of the construction projects that finished up, including a concourse expansion, 4 more gates, another restaurant and bar, plus a mother's room and a pet relief area.
Well, Gallatin County Commissioners voted unanimously to appoint Under Sheriff Dan Springer as Gallatin County's interim sheriff. Commissioners will search for a permanent replacement to fill the rest of the former sheriff Brian Gutkin's term, which ends in 2022. Gutkin left the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office at the end of 2020 after being tapped by Governor Gianforte to run the state's Department of Corrections. Commissioners say the details about how the public will be involved in the process are still being worked out. People interested will be able to apply for the job online.
I'd be willing to accept it. I appreciate the words of support too. It's a great opportunity. I think that continuity of service, continuity of everything that we're doing is appropriate, is good for the guys and the gals that work there. So yeah, I'm happy to take that.
We will continue to keep you updated on the Gallatin County Commission's search for a permanent replacement.
In more legislative news, Montana Legislative Committee has advanced a bill that would expand where and how people can carry firearms. The House Judiciary Committee approved a House Bill 102 by a 12-7 party line vote. Bill sponsored by Republican Representative Seth Burgley of Joliet. It will allow people to carry concealed firearms in more places and limit the Montana University system's ability to regulate guns on college campuses. During the meeting, the committee added exceptional exceptions, including a requirement that people carrying guns on campus receive safety training. But they voted down a Democratic proposal to remove the provisions about colleges entirely. That bill will now go to the full House for consideration. Also, right now, there are 9 more deaths from COVID-19 in Montana. 4 of those are in Butte-Silver Bow County. That makes 62 people who have died in Butte-Silver Bow, 1,063 people in the state. 71 new cases in Butte, 139 current active cases. Also, another death happened in Jefferson County. Gallatin County shows 27 new cases, 517 still active. 12 people are in hospitals in Gallatin County.
The chairman of the state legislator COVID-19 panel reports that Representative Fiona Nave has received positive test results. Nave has not been at the state capitol in person at all yet this session. Last week, State Representative David Beatty of Hamilton was the first lawmaker to reveal he'd tested positive for the virus.
6:36 now. 2 different coronavirus vaccines continue to roll out across the United States.
But as millions of Americans get their vaccinations over the coming months, it's important to note that anyone who receives a vaccination could still end up getting sick.
Mandy Gaither explains.
COVID-19 vaccines are becoming available to more Americans.
I would strongly encourage that we move forward with giving states the opportunity to be more expansive in who they can give the vaccine to, particularly as more supplies become available.
Health officials continue to say being vaccinated is one of the best ways to protect yourself and others from getting sick, but no vaccine works 100% of the time. During trials, the current authorized vaccines were shown to be about 95% effective, which means some who were vaccinated became symptomatic. Here's why. It takes time to build immunity, and both authorized vaccines require 2 doses given several weeks apart to train the body's immune system. But people can be exposed to the coronavirus right before being vaccinated or right after, which doesn't give the body enough time to develop its defenses. The CDC says building immunity typically takes a few weeks. Moderna measured its 95% vaccine efficacy starting 14 days after the second dose, while Pfizer started 7 days after the second dose. But let's be clear, the current coronavirus vaccines cannot infect anyone with the virus. They don't contain the virus, but the CDC says vaccinated people should still use all the tools available to us. Wear a mask, stay 6 feet away from others, and wash your hands. I'm Mandy Gaither.
Mandy also says the technology used to make the new coronavirus vaccines is designed to be easily adapted if the virus mutates. It should take far less time to update the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines than it takes to make new flu vaccines.
3 skiers were caught in an avalanche on Republic Mountain outside of Cook City on Friday. 2 of those skiers injured when they were skiing on a steep slope when the avalanche broke. All 3 skiers were partially buried. Nobody was killed in the slide, but 1 skier was taken out by helicopter to treat serious rib and lung injuries. The Gallatin National Forest Avalanche Center wants to emphasize that if you are heading back into the country right now, to use extreme caution with the weak snowpack.
The conditions right now are tricky, and people are triggering avalanches every time it snows, and we really encourage people to get our advisory and read it every morning at mtavalanche.com.
Now, Doug went on to say that going out with partners, using the right equipment like beacon, shovel, and probe, and acting quickly if you are caught in an avalanche could mean the difference between life and death in the backcountry.
And Matt, these things that we're talking about with this avalanche danger in that, we're talking about wind, we're talking about mounts of snow, rain, all those kind of things lead to what Doug was talking about.
And we have overall very weak snowpack right now, and that's part of the issue. And just talking to Doug, and we're going to talk to him again tomorrow about some of what's going on. The conditions are going to be slow to change, so this weak snowpack is probably here to stay for a while.
Some pretty dramatic video there provided by them as well.
That's right.
Unbelievable stuff. Wow. 6:40 now, let's take a quick break. When we come back, the International Olympic Committee says it's ready to proceed with Japan Olympics, but what do the people of Japan think of that? The overwhelming answer coming up after the break.
But first, here's what the team at CBS
Good morning to you.
News
Ahead on CBS This Morning, with the inauguration just 8 days away, the FBI warns of armed protest in all 50 states. We'll discuss security concerns after the acting Homeland Security Secretary resigns just days after the attack on the Capitol. Also, experts sound the alarm on the slow pace of vaccinations in the U.S. We ask a member of President-elect Biden's Coronavirus Advisory Board if we're doing enough to prevent further outbreaks. And comedian Chris Rock, you could call him a rock star, I like that, is out with a new extended cut of his Netflix special. Here, our candid conversation about everything from politics and race to fatherhood. Chris Rock, he's a great dad. 2 daughters. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.